Hello, buddy lawyers. Welcome to the podcast. And today we are recording in person. Usually we record a podcast through any online platform, but this is the first podcast episode after lockdown started, which we are recording in person with Gitanjali Kallu. So hi Gitanjali, what's up?
Nothing much, a very busy day and a very happening at that.
Yeah, happening. I understand the emotion behind that too. Like we both came traveling, changing to metro stations and through auto and then through your two wheeler too. So it was quite. But still, I think we reached a bit early. If we would have been in Mumbai, it would have been like at least 1.5 hour 2 hour journey.
Surely, surely, by all means.
Okay. Gitanjali is a researcher working on IPR laws. She's doing her PhD from Symbiosis Law School, Pune. And as she said just now, that you don't have to visit the law school on a regular basis, so it's fine. You can stay anywhere and work on your thesis and other research work.
Yeah, because also mine is a part-time PhD, so I don't have to visit campus on a regular basis. It's the advantage of part-time PhD scholars.
So apart from your PhD, what else are you doing currently?
Um, I basically just shifted from academia to litigation, and before this, I was clerking at the High Court of Karnataka, and right after that is what I did my masters and a postgraduate diploma in intellectual property rights laws as well as alternative dispute resolution. And after that, I worked at Cedar National Law School for 2 years. And just recently, like 4 days back, is when I joined my new job, which is purely litigation, and quite excited for the journey as well.
Okay, so can you share the work profile at this new job?
So we basically take commercial litigation. We don't do criminal per se unless otherwise requested. So basically, like any other litigating lawyers, our work schedule is almost an entire day. Just a senior colleague at the firm just yesterday mentioned that a litigating lawyer works 24/7 unless otherwise specified on a legal term. So we take up commercial litigation matters, and we do have matters both in High Court and civil courts, and also I think a couple of them in higher courts as well.
So you visit courts on a regular basis?
I've just started, so I look forward to visiting courts on a regular basis, but my colleagues do visit on a regular basis. But this being December, it's sort of a vacation month, year end. Also, we'll have, I think, 1 week of vacations. So the matters are slightly lesser in number comparatively. But otherwise, the office tells me that, it's buzzing with cases
Okay.
and
So
court visits.
let me change the question a bit. Do you like visiting courts?
I look forward to it. I mean, I've visited courts before as an intern. Well, it's a different experience. So I've basically visited court as a intern uh, during college time, and I've clerked in the High Court as a law clerk. So that was a different perspective altogether. So
Right.
instead of standing in front of the bench, I was part of the bench. I mean, if I can say so. And now I'm back to litigation. I'm back at the bar, facing the judges. So I'm quite looking forward to it.
So how does it feel standing on this side rather than that side?
To be on the judges team is an entirely different thing because you get to hear both sides of a case, right? You get to analyze the arguments and also apply the law, and a judge interprets it. So our work as a law clerk was mostly on um, proofreading the judge's orders, or um, uh, the judges would have some kind of legal prepositions that they want us to research on, which is what we'll be doing mostly as law clerks. Helping them in drafting their orders and substantiating with case laws, something and all of that. But one interesting thing that I did while I was clerking for Justice is the fact that he also was, a good writer. Sir was a PhD holder himself.
Hmm.
So he did write to a couple of journals, of which I was, I had the opportunity to assist him write those things.
Okay. So these journals were on what topic?
Sir basically wrote when I was, working for him, under him rather.
Hmm.
Sir wrote on double taxation, so that was one paper that I assisted him. I only worked for a year. I only clerked for a year. So in the short span of time, we worked on one paper.
Hmm. So let's talk about your work when you were working as a law clerk. So how was your day like? Your daily routine when you were working there?
So in the High Court of Karnataka, every day, we entered the court hall. We entered our work, say half an hour before or maybe 1 hour before the actual sitting had.
Hmm.
Which is around 11. The sitting starts at 11. So before that, around 10:20, 10:30 is when we used to be at office. And, the judges go to their respective court halls, they have their sittings, and, either they would have given a preposition to research on the previous day, which we sit through the day research, or we go sit in the court hall and then we, make notes of the arguments that are led, and also the cases that are presented before the judge, and come back after their sitting, which is one for they break for lunch once, and then for the day at 4:35ish. So in between, if they do have anything that they would want us to research on and give it to them, they'd give it to us. Technically, sometimes the judges leave a little early, which is around 5:36ish. Sometimes if there are any urgent orders that they want to write, they'd sit for a long time, say till 7, 8, sometimes even 9. I have had my colleagues sit in the in the judge's office chamber, for longer hours just because they were writing. And that is a level of dedication that a judge has, and so does his team. So yeah, that is a typical day for me.
So, and I have also heard that like a year or two ago in Bombay High Court, there was a judge, I don't remember the name, but he was conducting hearings till late night, like 2 a.m. or so. Like, imagine if you have a matter and you are standing outside the judge's chamber for your matter to be heard at 2 a.m. So, that's like crazy. Like, I haven't heard any other judge working like that.
There have been a couple of instances that I've heard of course, not experienced personally, thank God. But, that can also be a very learning experience and quite intense one at that, if you look at it that way. And also quite tiring for the court staff as well as the office staff and the judge, not kidding. And the lawyers as well, can't ignore that, because I am part of the bar right now, will always be. So yeah, that is a level of dedication, like I just mentioned, that a judge or some judges have towards the, say, operation of law.
So, I remember one instance when I was working as an advocate. So, it was a magistrate court, I guess. I entered the court, like it has been around 6 months I was working, so I was quite confident, like I can deal with matters and I can get things done. So I went inside the court. The courtroom was not, like, the court didn't start yet because the judge wasn't here in the courtroom. And usually in Mumbai, in other like magistrate court, what used to happen is if you just want to take a date, there is nothing of substance is going to happen in your matter, then you can just mention it before the courtroom actually starts with the list of cases, and you can get a date. Okay. So I went there once the judge came inside the courtroom. I just mentioned my matter, and the judge gave me a strange look, and a bit of anger was also there. So he's like, "Don't you know how courts function in Mumbai?" And he was saying that basically mentioning is not allowed. So I was like kept aside for some time, and even after the list of matters was over, he kept me sitting for a while, And after that, he allowed me to take up that matter and gave me the date. So, do you remember any such incident when you were working as a law clerk?
There was one case, of course, I can't disclose what case
Yeah.
I worked on.
Hmm.
There was one case where the background work, the case had been going on for quite some time,
Hmm.
and the files were such that from the floor it used to be this tall. So so we had two such bundles. So me and an intern worked on that case while our judge gave a decision, or rather worked on a decision. So we were trying to figure out what was in those files, as in trying to put a chronology of it. So we called it Tower of Files. So there were twin towers of files which me and an intern worked on. It was quite intense to just figure out a case's history and from when it was instituted to the present day. So we had to go through each and every order and see what was ordered on what date and what was the outcome, what was the arguments. We put everything in a table. This was actually a wonderful idea that the judge came up with. Because technically, if you see the judgment, very few judgments will have a format like this, basically giving out a tabular representation of whatever happened in the history of the case. So this was a wonderful move, and we worked on that. We stretched the day even after the entire office left for the day. We sat there, we worked through it. But when the order was pronounced in the court, when the judge pronounced the order, what was surprising, or what felt good, was the fact that the table you worked on was part of the order, was part of the judgment. So that was quite a aha moment for me and my intern. So we tried to refrain so much not to express our happiness, but somehow we did, and both the counsels, both the senior counsels of both sides were on the on the other side, and they noticed that, and they kind of acknowledged. The judge also acknowledged that we worked on something that is part of the order, which is quite nice, which felt very good. So apart from that, that was one such incident. So apart from that, I haven't. I mean, there are many tiny little moments that probably this night would not be sufficient for me to list everything.
Yeah, I agree. And this tabular format thing was actually necessary when you have such huge
Towers of files,
towers of files, twin towers. Nice. Okay. So, how did you get hired as a law clerk in the court? What was the recruitment process?
Okay. So basically, the government, the High Court of Karnataka, they release a notification where they call in for applications for law clerk, and we send in our details as per the notification. We send it to them, and they get back to us and say whether we have qualified for the next round. See, when I had applied, the process was slightly different, and what the process is right now is also slightly different. I hear that what I had, I can only talk for myself right now. So I submitted my papers, and I'd gotten a response saying that calling me for a document verification and also an in-person interview. So first step is the document verification, and post that we had two judges of the High Court taking our personal interview. Thankfully for my batch, it happened the same day. So we verified our documents, and then we were taken to another bigger hall where the judges were sitting, and then they asked us a couple of questions based on the resume that we had submitted. And once they were satisfied with our profile and everything, they take a while, and they released a list of candidates who were selected to be law clerks. And then I got appointed as a law clerk for the judge, and so did my batchmates.
So, also, did you get a chance to choose under which judge you have?
No, that is a very random assignment that happens. So you can't really pick and choose who who you go to.
Yeah.
It's more like family. You can't really choose them, but you
No,
just have
also
to.
like you don't even get the chance to choose like which matters, and like there is a roster kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Which the
as a
judges
law
follow.
clerk, no, nothing,
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 na?
nothing of that sort. So on the list, from what I know, the judges are given the list and they can pick and choose whoever they want. I'm not sure if they're given our profiles, but yeah, that is one way of maybe how they choose it. The other way is they just randomly get assigned.
Hmm.
So we all got randomly assigned to people.
Yeah. And were there any instances you remember where law clerks changed or the judges transferred any clerk from one
Um,
judge's chamber to other judge's chamber?
So it so happens that judges do get transferred from one court to the other, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe get elevated, or they also retire. So when that happens, they go back to the pool, or the court register. They assign them to another judge. They request the judge, or rather, they ask the judge if they require a law clerk. If they say yes, whichever law clerk is currently not assigned to any judge, they will be sent to their office and their chambers to assist them on their work.
Hmm. So this is good, but there was no written exam. Have
When I applied, there
hmm.
was nothing, but
Hmm.
it may have changed. I haven't kept track of
Hmm.
that.
But have you heard of any written exam for law clerks in any other high court?
Supreme Court, yes. So the hiring process for a Supreme Court clerkship is entirely different.
Hmm.
Because they have, I think again the process is different, which I'm not entirely aware of. But from what I've heard, they do have a verification process, they have a written exam, they have a GD which they have to clear, and post that an interview session, and that's after which they get selected.
Hmm.
And the remuneration in Supreme Court
Yeah,
for a
that's
Supreme Court clerkship is
expected.
also slightly higher compared to the High Courts.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, it's a better choice if you want to become a law clerk. At least you will get paid rather than become an advocate. Okay. So
Hey,
Joe.
advocates also get paid. Prasanna
Yeah.
doesn't know much.
Yeah, I just worked for a few months, so. But yeah, afterwards, like initial years are tough.
Yeah, initial years are tough. I mean, it's tough for any profession, I wouldn't
Mhm.
say just for lawyers. Any profession. Starting, I mean, you have a lot of things to learn.
Hmm.
From what you learned in college to what you apply it in profession is always going to be different, right? For any profession, for that matter. So, for lawyers, it's slightly difficult. Maybe for some other profession, it may be slightly easier, but initial days are always the tough days.
Hmm. Okay. So since she is back to the bar, it is expected that she will defend lawyers and association.
I have to. They're my brethren.
Okay. So okay, so that was about the recruitment process and what work is involved as a law clerk in a high court. Now you are researching on IPR laws. So when did this interest, like when did you get interested in IPR laws? Was it from your college days?
um, Okay, so it's a very twisted answer.
Hmm.
I've always been an artist
Hmm.
throughout life. Right from thanks to my parents, I've always been into dancing and theater and stuff. So back in college when I was studying law, somewhere in between, I also wanted to quit law and focus entirely on dancing, which didn't happen for God knows what reason. And that's when I tried to figure out, okay, so if I have this as a passion and this as a profession, there will be a midway where I can connect both of them. So intellectual property rights laws, did that for me. And right from college, that was my elective. IPR was my elective. So post college, I did like I mentioned, PGD in intellectual property rights laws from National Law School. And post that, I tried to connect art with law,
Hmm.
and in the same way, which led to my PhD, thanks to my previous profession, where research was more of what I was doing, and my colleagues and everybody, it was more of a persuasive thing that got me into pursuing PhD. And right now I'm researching on, yeah, trying to understand art and IPR and how the convergence happens.
Interesting. So, how was college life? Was it fun or was it like mine?
Like yours. Okay, I'd like to have your answer
No,
first.
it wasn't fun because I mostly didn't attend college. That's another reason. But yeah, how was your?
Okay, I attended college,
Hmm, hmm,
thankfully,
hmm,
because we had attendance compulsory. And see, college was more of it is a learning platform. So, what was extremely nice about my college, at least, was the fact that our college used to start at 7:30 in the morning,
hmm.
and it used to get over by 11:20, at least back then. So all the 5 years, I used to run to college early in the morning and then get back. So you're basically you're done for the day by midday.
Hmm.
So the reason why it was the timings was that is for see, I went to a private a college, a sort of a traditional law college in Bangalore. Now, most of the students there go into litigation, so they get trained to go into litigation. So, if you're done by the half of the day, you have the rest of the day to either go intern or just go sit in the court halls and observe the proceedings and try to understand what is happening, try to wrap your head around it. So, that is very convenient. So, traditional law colleges have this convenience for their students. So that is something very,
It's a
very
positive. Yeah.
positive point about college. On the other hand, of course, you spend your golden years in college, which I got to experience mildly, if not very vibrantly. So I've maintained, cordial relationships with my classmates. So that's about my college life.
And one thing you said that they are trained to become a litigator. So why would you say that?
They're majorly trained to be litigators. It is again left to the students whether they want to take litigation or they want to take corporate law or they want to go abroad do masters. The trend is vast. The trend is also vibrant. So it depends on each student. Well, I think it prepares you for everything. It just depends on the student where they want to take it up.
Okay, so let's come to your current job now. You were working in research first, and now you have shifted to litigation. How did that shift happen?
Um, so basically, one of my mentors during masters gave me an idea where he said, come to teach with experience, and that matters a lot. So I had that dialogue at the back of my mind. So when I was a researcher and when I was doing mostly project deliverables for governments, um, one thing that came to my mind was basically I need litigation experience. It's not enough to just learn how to write papers, research papers, or policy papers per se. It is also, at least for me, it felt like it is also going to add to the experience if I also know how drafting is done for a court,
Hmm.
right? For each case in a court, which is something that I'm just new to to my job as a litigator, so I'm also trying to understand the difference between a research paper and an actual petition or a pleading. So that kind of adds to your experience if at all at some point of time in my life I want to go and still teach.
Hmm.
um, you know uh, as any human being, you're always a student, you're always a teacher to somebody else.
Hmm.
So that never stops, and I do come from a family of teachers, so that is always again at the back of my mind. So I want to get enough experience as a litigator before I finally choose, okay, which part. But it so happens that the advantages of a lawyer is such that you don't you never stop litigating, you never stop learning or teaching for that matter. So I think I've got the best of all worlds as a lawyer.
And you have multiple options.
Yeah, yep.
You're also planning to join academia later, maybe.
Maybe if that path ever converges, or if I have to ever take to that tangent, I may do that.
So you always like to be on like both sides. First in the judges' chamber, then in litigation. First as a student, then as a teacher.
It's best to have
Both
best to
experiences?
experience both worlds, or whatever worlds there are.
Yeah. Okay. So these things aside, tell us something about Bangalore. Like, have you been to other like places for like litigation or any other work?
Right. So, not as a litigator, but I have worked for a, corporate entity of sorts. I was working close to, in a remote village rather, near Darjeeling, basically on an environmental front. So, I was there to help. Rather to educate the people there about the garbage segregation, and also to safe disposal of non-biodegradable substances, because see, Himalayan belt is such that it's attracting a lot of tourists, travelers, trekkers, mountaineers, people who are interested in experiencing, having the Himalayan experience. So with people goes the trash, right? So it's effective. It's only important if you can also learn or educate the localites to manage the trash that people carry there. So I was working there for about a month or so, and that was a very short stint of mine, and that actually opened up a lot of, gave me a lot of perspective on a lot of things, because I was working with international NGOs. I was working with the local forest division officers. So they were very cooperative, in fact, and in terms of educating the localites also, they were very cooperative. And thankfully that after I returned, I did hear that whatever we were working on did succeed, and they were segregating garbage on a larger scale, and things moved green.
Okay, so that was an interesting experience. Can you give us a brief like overview of about courts in Bangalore?
I can give you a bird's eye view right now, because I am also just gotten into profession and I need to explore quite a bit. So basically, we have each district has its own district courts. We have city civil court, we have the high court, and we have the sessions court, and tribunals. The various tribunals, shifted towards scattered towards the central Bangalore. The High Court, interestingly, was called the Athara Kacheri before, because it had 18 chambers. And there is a museum in the High Court as well, which actually gives you an understanding of how the history of High Court was, and it got burned down. It had a fire accident, not got burned down at some point of time, and after that they renovated, and what we have currently is what was built post that incident. So that was about High Court.
How many kacheris are there right now in High Court?
Over 30.
Over 30.
But
Still it's called Athara Kacheri.
It used to be called Athara Kacheri. It's not called Athara Kacheri.
No.
And that was High Court. So we have City Civil Court, which also has a metro connectivity. So High Court also has metro connectivity. And post that, if I have to talk on the metro line itself, all the tribunals are also located somewhere nearby. And
near High Court?
Scattered towards the central Bangalore, I'll put it that way. And then we have something that is quite interesting. We have something called as Mayo Hall, that has both sessions as well as civil court combined. So that is one magistrate court combined. So that is one interesting aspect about Mayo Hall.
Okay. So I haven't seen such a combination in Mumbai at least. Like usually we have city civil sessions court together, and magistrate courts are different. So moving on from kacheris, now we'll talk about the common question which I ask to every podcaster. So, please share an incident from your career which is very memorable to you.
Uh, Technically, there are a lot of memorable moments in my career so far, but I'd
Hmm.
rather give you a very general overview of what it feels to me as as a legal professional. So, we do experience, like every other profession, we do experience both sides of appreciation, amusement, as well as a level of disregard towards us, towards me at least, when I introduce myself to be
Hmm.
okay, I'm a
Lawyers are
professionally
liars
a
is
lawyer.
very common.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So that will be a very, a disregardment of my profession. But whereas sometimes people actually, lawyers are known to be well read, a lot
Hmm.
of law, majority.
Hmm.
If you look at it, lawyers did help. Um, Not only lawyers, but lawyers were amongst the people who struggled and got India their independence.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we play a very dynamic role when it comes to society and societal norms and uh, so on and so forth. So as such, the level of admiration, the level of amusement, the level of respect that is that is shown towards a person when we introduce ourselves as lawyers, I think that is by far the most that will trump all the other memories that I have experienced so far. So I'm not sure. Rather, I'm looking forward to experiencing more of being a lawyer.
Okay, great. So, on that note, let's end this episode. It was a wonderful conversation, Gitanjali. I hope we'll meet again soon and may record another episode. Thank you
Sure,
so much.
Prasanna, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope you guys enjoy this short clip of my short legal